Free radicals and antioxidant is the most highlighted topic nowadays, and being a part of the syllabus, it has been chosen. When we go into the structure of an atom, we see that atom on the outer shell always have paired number of electrons, 2, 4, 8. Now when this 8 increases by 1 or 8 decreases by 1, that means there will be 1 electron more or 1 electron less. That electron becomes unpaired, then it forms the free radical. So it has the capacity to accept or donate an electron. In the body, there are two free radicals, two types. ROS, the reactive oxygen species, because the body required the oxygen for all its functioning, so it can easily form the free radical. And the RNAs, the reactive nitrogen species. The body has various proteins, and this protein had made up of amino acids, so reactive nitrogen species are easily formed. Now from where do this free radical come in? Are they coming from outside? No. It is formed inside the body, and by the normal functioning of the cell, the free radicals are formed. Then why it is a matter of concern? Normally, in the body, the free radical, whatever is formed, is neutralized by the antioxidant of the body itself. So the body should have low level of free radical and high level of antioxidant. But if this alters, the free radical becomes more and antioxidant become less, then we get various types of diseases, because the free radical remain inside the body and it is not neutralized. What are the sources? The exogenous, as you know, the environmental factors, and the endogenous sources. We will concentrate on the endogenous sources. It has been found that the cell itself is the endogenous source, and the organelles that consume high amount of oxygen is responsible for the production of free radical, of which mitochondria plays the major role. Mitochondria has two electron transport chain, and this electron transport chain uses coenzyme Q and ubiquinone Q. In this electron transport chain, this coenzyme Q gets reduced. Then it forms an unstable coenzyme Q with excess amount of electron. To make itself stabilized, it transports the electron to the oxygen. As a result, what happens? The oxygen gains the total number of electron and the superoxide radical is formed. Now, as I was saying, that the body neutralizes it. So, whenever superoxide will be formed, it is neutralized by superoxide dismutase. The second is peroxisome, and this peroxisome forms the electron or the free radicals, especially by the beta oxidation of fatty acids. Various metabolites that are formed, they transfer the electrons to the oxygen. Now, endoplasmic reticulum is another organelle which use large number of enzymes, and whenever enzyme activity is there, it uses the oxygen, and free radical or reactive oxygen species is easily formed. Apart from these three main organelles, the various pathways like the prostaglandin synthesis, inflammatory process, the reduced riboflavin, another we can say cytochrome P450, which uses huge amount of oxygen because it metabolizes almost all things that is coming to the liver. Other is FMNH2 and FADH2, that is flavin mononucleotide in the reduced form, and FADH2 is flavin adenine dinucleotide in the reduced form. So all these, and even immune cells, they are all responsible for the free radical formation. What are the major free radicals? The most common free radical present is the superoxide ion radical, and it is formed by two ways. One is, we had already said that if electron is coming and attaching to the oxygen molecule, it will form the superoxide radical. And in another case what happens, there are multiple elements inside the body of which iron plays a major role. Iron get reduced to ferric and it forms the superoxide radical. This superoxide radical, in presence of the SOD, it forms the hydrogen peroxide and oxygen. This is the dismutation reaction. The next is the hydroxyl radical, that is OH. It is the neutral form of the hydroxide ion and is formed by two processes, the Fenton reaction and the Haber-Bosch reaction. In Fenton reaction, superoxide radical in presence of hydrogen peroxide, it reduces the iron to ferric and the hydroxyl radical is formed. Similarly, in Haber-Bosch reaction, the superoxide radical directly reacts with the hydrogen peroxide and the hydroxyl radical is formed. The two metal carrying proteins, that is ferritin and ceruloplasmin. Ferritin is iron containing protein, ceruloplasmin is copper containing protein. They are responsible in the Fenton reaction. Then comes the peroxyl radical. Now peroxyl radical, it is formed due to protonation of the superoxide radical, and this promotes fatty acid peroxidation, and ultimately it has been seen to develop the tumor inside the body. Hydrogen peroxide, which is very common and is very effective inside the body, but actually hydrogen peroxide is not a radical. Hydrogen peroxide forms the hydroxyl ion and in presence of various metals, for example manganese, copper, iron and mostly the transition elements, and then it forms in the hydroxyl radical that is formed. That hydroxyl radical is the free radical. Singlet oxygen is a reaction between hydrogen peroxide and hypochlorous acid, and it is highly reactive, means highly unstable, and it reacts with multiple enzymes inside the body. Ozone, it is formed due to the immunoglobulin action against the pathogens. That is, whenever immune reactions start, ozone is formed and the reaction is catalyzed by water. Hypochlorous acid, it is formed by water and the chloride ion and in presence of myeloperoxidase. Now up to this much we had seen, these are the reactive oxygen species. The rest, that is nitric oxide, nitrogen monoxide, peroxynitride, these are the reactive nitrogen species. Now nitric oxide has multiple role inside the body and it is formed from the amino acid L-arginine in presence of this enzyme, that is nitric oxide synthase. L-citrulline is formed. The reaction between the superoxide radical and nitric oxide, it forms the peroxynitride. Now this peroxynitride ultimately reacts with carbon dioxide and it forms the peroxynitrous acid, which again means homolysis occurred, and this homolysis forms the hydroxyl radical. Now if we see all the reactions of this free radical, we can find that one free radical, if formed inside the body, in a chain of reactions it can form multiple free radicals. For example, if you take the hydrogen peroxide, this hydrogen peroxide is involved in Fenton reaction. The hydrogen peroxide is responsible for Haber-Bosch reaction. The hydrogen peroxide is responsible for the singlet ion oxygen production. It is responsible for the this one, superoxide radical formation. Again, if I see superoxide radical formation, superoxide radical, it is involved in a chain of reactions for producing different types of free radical. So it is, the body will always try to minimize the formation of the free radical, but if the exogenous factors enter inside the body, it will start activating more synthesis of free radical that cannot be neutralized neutralized by the body antioxidants, and that will lead to multiple diseases. And it has been said there are multiple diseases like neurodegenerative diseases, the cancer, then diabetes, they are cardiovascular diseases, they are responsible for the free radicals. But as we were saying that free radicals are produced because of normal functions of the body, then why do we need it? We need it for multiple actions or multiple functions inside the body. First is whatever cellular structure is growing, they require maturation, and it is caused by this free radical. Second thing is the free radical act as the host defense system. Free radical is highly reactive, we had seen. It is acting on the host cell. Similarly, whenever a pathogenic microorganism enters, it will act on that cell also, and it will try to kill that cell or degrade that cell or inactivate that cell. The cell signaling by the fibroblast or myocytes, they are also caused by the, or they, for those the free radicals are required. And as we had already said, nitric oxide, though it is a free radical, it has multiple functions in intracellular functions inside the body and also act as the host defense mechanism. Now the next, the most important are the antioxidants. Till now we had said that free radicals are produced by the normal function. Now we had also said that it should get neutralized, or it is getting neutralized by the antioxidants that are already present inside the body. Now it defined as that neutralizes the antioxidants, neutralize the free radicals and counteract the oxidative stress. What do we mean by oxidative stress? Oxidative stress means due to the presence of free radical, the increase in the oxygen concentration and oxidation reaction inside the body is a stressful condition to the cell. So the antioxidant, when we give, it will counteract that stressful situation. Similarly, antioxidants are of two types, both endogenous and exogenous. Now, endogenous antioxidants that are present inside the body, and they are continuously neutralizing the free radical that is formed. But why exogenous antioxidant is required? Exogenous antioxidant is used as a supplement or used to increase the concentration of endogenous antioxidants. Why? A question is very common. Listen to the question as I am telling you. My free radical is highly reactive. It can accept or donate an electron. When I am giving an antioxidant, that means it is taking or donating one electron to the antioxidant. That means what is happening? The antioxidant is no more intact. It is no more stable. The antioxidant is now becoming unstable. So to maintain the level of this antioxidant, to replenish the antioxidant, we should continuously have a source of antioxidant. And remember one thing, it is recorded each and everywhere or mentioned each and everywhere that an antioxidant which act as an antioxidant to one system may not be antioxidant to other system, because after acting as an antioxidant, it loses the stability, it itself becomes reactive, and it starts reacting in the other parts of the body. To minimize that function, we should always have a supporting substance. So what I said in the first, if my free radical is low, if my antioxidant is high, at first the free antioxidant will neutralize it, and excess amount of antioxidant will try to stabilize the other. But if this one, that is free radical is more, antioxidant is less, then a reverse case occurs. First it will try to neutralize, it will itself, what will happen then? It will itself become active, and we also have the reactive free radical. So both will start acting inside the body and will lead to multiple disorders. Now, antioxidants have, we had said endogenous. First, coming to endogenous, they are enzymatic and non-enzymatic. The four main enzymatic are superoxide dismutase, the catalase, the glutathione peroxidase, and glutathione reductase. So, coming one by one. Suppose SOD, if I say that is superoxide dismutase, what it does? It causes dismutation of superoxide radical. That means the superoxide radical by reduction forms H2O2. And in presence of catalase or glutathione peroxidase, H2O2 forms water and oxygen. So, whatever superoxide radical is there, it gets neutralized. In another mechanism, that is hydrogen peroxide, in presence of glutathione peroxidase, what happens? The glutathione, that is GSH, it is oxidized and it forms the oxidized state, that is GSSG. This GSSG, in presence of glutathione reductase and NADPH, again forms the glutathione. This is the second way of neutralizing hydrogen peroxide. If there is lipid or non-lipid hydroperoxide, then what will happen? Then glutathione peroxidase will oxidize GSH. As a result, GSSG will be formed. This GSSG will again be reacted with glutathione reductase and NADPH, and glutathione will be formed. So, by this way, the body is continuously neutralizing whatever superoxide or whatever hydrogen peroxide. These two are the main free radicals are getting neutralized. Non-enzymatic antioxidants are of two types. One is metabolic antioxidants and the other is nutrient antioxidant. Now, metabolic antioxidants, we had already seen, this is glutathione, coenzyme Q10, then melatonin. These are all the metabolic antioxidants. What are nutrient antioxidants? Nutrient antioxidants are obtained from nutrition. That is, we can also say these are the exogenous antioxidants. Now, before starting this topic, I will say you that as we are going into the reactions, as we are going into higher studies, whenever we study about any substance inside the body, it is very necessary that we know the mechanism of action. The sources and everything is of means we are supposed to know the sources, but what is actually how it is acting. Suppose a question comes, how do exogenous antioxidants act? You just cannot write that it is removing the free radicals. The question comes, how it is removing the free radicals. Sorry. So, exogenous antioxidants are usually obtained from the food supplements, and the most important are the vitamin E, vitamin C, beta carotene, omega 3 fatty acid, omega 6 fatty acids. As we know, and you know, every day there are research articles, the papers, the news, they are showing that take these, the antioxidants will increase, you will have less number of diseases. So, coming to the mechanism of action of the exogenous antioxidant. First is vitamin E. Now, vitamin E, there are 8 stereoisomers. Of this 8 stereoisomers, you just cannot take any vitamin E. You have to take alpha tocopherol. And how it acts? The alpha tocopherol prevent lipid peroxidation and therefore maintain the cell membrane. Now, here you should know that cell membrane is made up of what? Phospholipid layer. So, if lipid peroxidation occur, the lipid in the cell membrane will be broken. There will be a breaking or the skeleton of the cell will be changed. So, if I am taking vitamin E, it is preventing the lipid peroxidation and it is protecting the cell membrane. Next comes vitamin C. It quench the free radicals. Quench means remove, put off, extinguish the free radicals. And the second thing is, as I said, that whenever I am having antioxidant, the antioxidant should be replenished. The concentration should increase. So, vitamin C has that property it regenerates vitamin E. And secondly, it has a synergistic activity with vitamin E. Then beta carotene is also the quenchers or removes the superoxide radical, singlet oxygen and hydroxyl ion radical, and they act as a chelators. We had seen that most of the metals, the transient metals, they are responsible for superoxide radicals. So if I can suppress the activity of those transition metal, my superoxide formation will be stopped. Now lycopene that is obtained from tomatoes, they trap the singlet oxygen and mutagenesis is blocked. Now one very good research, it has been found that connexin 43 gene, and this gene is responsible for intracellular gap junction communication. When there is tumor, then what happens? This intracellular gap junction communication reduces because connexin 43 gene is reduced. But if I take lycopene, what happens? There is upregulation. That means this gene is produced, and in tumor, the tumor production is blocked. Selenium, it is one of the component of many of the enzymes that act as an antioxidant, that is enzymatic antioxidant, endogenous antioxidants. So this selenium, it is a trace element and it is obtained from various food sources. It prevents the LDL oxidation, prevent hepatocarcinogenesis, and nowadays it has been found it is more potent than vitamin A, E, C, beta carotene. Why? The answer, it lies here itself, that selenium is a part of the endogenous antioxidant. So if I take selenium, it will promote the formation of the endogenous antioxidant. Whenever it promotes the formation of endogenous antioxidant, it is much more effective in removing the free radicals. The next comes the flavonoids. The flavonoids, this scavenges the free radical, that means it eats up the free radical, and they inhibit the enzymes that promote the metal ion formation. Okay. Next is the omega-3 fatty acids and omega-6 fatty acid. We know that nowadays whatever we take, means any oil we go to buy, or we take any means capsule of any oil, they say that this omega-3 fatty acid is there, and the main thing is that you can see that they eliminate the Fenton reaction. That means it prevents the formation of hydroxyl radical, it prevents the further action of the superoxide radical, and it regenerates thyroredoxin, reduces the reactive oxygen species, and increases the level of the superoxide dismutase. So these are all the mechanisms you should know while studying the exogenous antioxidants. Otherwise, why we are taking exogenous antioxidant will have no value to us. Here I have given the sources. You just can go through the various sources of the exogenous free radical. But before that, I would like to say that whenever I am going for exogenous sources, remember that whenever it is a natural product, a fruit or vegetables or nuts, we should always take it as seasonal, because in the seasonal, the active ingredient of that particular substance, of that particular natural fruit or vegetable is at its maximum. So it will show the maximum effect. And in case of lycopene, it has been studied that tomatoes gives lycopene when it is cooked rather than it is raw. So go through the topic, learn it nicely, it will be effective in your normal lifestyle. These are the questions, solve these questions and refer to the papers I have given you. Thank you.